Now other option to context APIs using external library. One of the best external library we can use is Zustand. So first let's install Zustand for now. Npm install Zustand. It will install the stand. Now we can use the stand to share between to share state between components. It is lightweight library and it is very fast to render. So now let's see, I've already installed it. Now let's see how we can create the stand context. First let's close this, and inside this Next.js app let's create a store. Inside this store we can create user.ts, not tsx. Now we can create our user store. First export const, let's create our user store equals create, which is from the stand, and let's create a store set. You can create a function, and inside the function it is an object. Now inside this function we can set a state and a function. So now first let's create a state, user state, which is name Zach, and age let's say 20, and save it. Now you can add more states in the user. Also we can create more states, like more data states, so like geography, geo, and you can create more data. This is the state of the function. This is the state of the store. Initially you can create multiple state objects like this, but now for now I can create only one, and the other is in order to change these states we can create a function to change this state. So let's create first update name input, updated name input. This is a function to pass two components, or you can change this state inside this function. Let's show you that. Let's say new name string, and inside this string let's create a function, and let's say set state, and not like this, like this. I think it is giving me some error. This expression is not callable. We have made some mistake, I think. Yeah, it's not a function, it's like this, you can see. Yeah, so now we have defined the state, and now we can change the user from this function. Let's change that user, and we can use these three dot operators to take all the elements inside the user element. So state dot user. Now we have copied all the elements from the user. Next we can specify the type that we want to change. For now, let's change the name to new username. Now if you call this inside the component and assign any name, it will change this name to that name. So let's assign that name and a new name. I think it is giving me some error. Let's give this any. Now we can see we can update a function. You can also fetch. You can use async function inside this store. But now I don't do that. I will show you only the sync part, and you can use also async part in other time. So let's create another function. Update name. Let's create that. Let's comma this and update name. Updated name, which is new name, string, and let's give a function again, and let's set state of like this, and let's assign user again, and dot state dot user, and let's give a name user. I think it is giving me some error. User, sir, not user, it is new name. Now we can use this function and this state inside all components. I'll show you that, but before that, let's specify an interface for this. Two interfaces. First for the user, interface user, and the name string, and age also string. And let's save this, and let's assign another interface for the functions. Interface user store, user, which is user, updated name input, which is new name, string, and let's return void, and the other is update name, which is user, string, and let's return void again. Now we have defined our interface. Let's change this to new user, and this is user again, and let's give this to any, and let's save this. You can see we have defined our schemas. Now we can share all these functions in all these states. So now let's create a new folder which is called client1, and let's go to client1, and let's create any file page.tsx and export default client 1 and let's create our function. We can import all the function from the store. So to import our function, let's create const. Let's give it as use equals user store, which is state any, and let's give function and let's select state.user. Now we have selected all the user state, which is name and age. First we need to import user store from store like this, and the other is let's also import the update name, update name, let's say update name user store, and let's give a state any, and let's select state dot updater name input like this. You can select it like this. I think it is giving me some error. We need to give a function like this. Now the error go away, and now we can select again the updated name one. Let's give it const update name one equals user store state, which is any again, and state dot updated name input, not input, update name, and save it. Now we can use all this function and all the constants inside this element. Now let's create a function inside this, which is called update. Inside this we can render any, and let's render update name. When we update the name, let's change e dot target dot value. Now when we use this function inside the input, it will change the update name to this input value, and the other is let's create another function, update one, and let's give a function update name one, update name one, and inside this let's render this is the updated stack, and let's save this. Now we have created these two functions. Now we can return them, we can render them, return, and let's give a div. Inside this div let's render the name. So we can render the name using we have selected all the user. From the user we can render us dot name, and below this we can render again div us dot h, and let's save this again. Also the other is you can first let's show you the result of this. When we go to client one, it must render that. So let's go to client one, it will give us an error because we are trying to render use store inside server component. So we can specify this as use client and save this, and let's go here. Now it will render all the elements. As you can see, it will render Zach and 20, which is found on the store. You can see we have rendered this. You can also create many states like user. You can also create data, and we can create other like this, and you can create, you get the point. You can create many state and many functions, both async and sync functions. We can fetch data from this store. Now you can save this. You can see we have successfully transported this element is inside this. So now let's check the functions. Let's create an input because we have used target dot value. So let's create an input, and inside this input let's create on change, and let's keep update. Now when we update this, it will set the updated name to target dot value, because we have specified this. Update name input will be new name. New name will be specified on the component. On the when we change this, the name will be changed. Initially it was Zach. Now when we change the input, the name will be the new name. So now when we come here and save this, and let's come here, and let's come here to the input. When I change this, you can see the input will be the new name. But if I refresh this, the initial state will be the state of this element, the user element. But when we update this, it will be the target dot value. So now this also works. Now let's check the updated one. Let's create a button, and inside this button, update name, let's say update name, and on click, let's render update one, and let's save this. Now when I come to here, and when I update the name, you can see this will be the updated name because I have set this to, this is the updated name. So inside this, the updated name, I use new username, and it will set the user to new username. First it will copy all the state, and it will change only the name, and it will set the new username. The new username will be assigned when in our components. You can see we have assigned the updated one to this name, and we have passed using on click, and it will change the state. When I refresh this, it will render the initial state. When I update this, it will change the name. So this is how you pass and share the data between components using the store. It is easier way to pass data between central element and elements. You can use in a larger application. It is very scalable. It is good performance than the normal context API, I think. So I will recommend you to use this library to manage your state, manage your state of your application. So this is how you use the Zustand. I'll see you on the next part.